marketplace today. Want to make sure I share this with you as soon as possible, as a lot of people are wanting to get lower rates than what the market is currently offering, but it's getting more and more difficult to get concessions from sellers as there's still a lot of demand in the marketplace. So it is now available. It is now possible here in the broker space to be able to, and also with a bank that's got really good rates, it is possible to do your own temporary buy down. So the reason why I have not been recommending permanent rate buy downs, which is traditional rate buy downs, is because the break-even period on those is 3 or 4 years. So you have to keep the loan at least 3 or 4 years before you're at break-even on what it cost you to buy it down, the savings that you got on the payment. Well, most people, like myself, expect lower rates in the next couple years, maybe sooner, probably sooner. And so that if you refinance, that would negate your savings and it would be a waste of money, an actual cost. It would be a flushing money down the toilet situation. So the temporary buy downs are much better because if you do a temporary buy down and you refinance, you don't lose any money. There's no way to lose the money. The money that is in the concession gets credited towards your loan balance. So that's why I've been recommending the temporary buy downs. However, they've had to be paid for by the seller, and now they don't have to be anymore. So there's 2 ways that you can, as a buyer, get yourself a lower rate without needing the seller to give you any credits, so you can still remain competitive with your offer. And this is through United Wholesale Mortgage. So it's one of the many banks that we work with, but it's one of the better ones, the biggest one as far as brokering is concerned in the wholesale space. And you have the ability to do the 1-0 buy down. You can do the 1-1 buy down, the 2-1 buy down, or even a 3-2-1 buy down, and you can pay for it. Now, what if you say, well, listen, I'm a VA buyer, which is my specialty. I work with a lot of VA buyers. I don't have it. I barely have enough money for closing costs, or maybe, I don't want to spend any more than closing costs, but I want to get the lower rate. Well, you can still do it. They're offering what's called a loan level pricing adjustment, or an LLPA, so that you can do these different buy downs. Now, the way that it works, I'm going to do my best to explain it here. I know it's somewhat complicated, but essentially, you're able to take a higher note rate, which is the rate that you pay when your temporary buy down is over, to get a lower temporary buy down rate. And I'm going to give you a specific example of how this works. But even if you don't take the higher rate, you can pay for it yourself now through this process. In other words, you could pay points. So to get a 1-0 buy down, which is where you get a 1% lower rate for the first year, you can take a 0.875 cost to your loan. So if your loan amount is, here we're going to use $750,000 for this example. So that would mean that it would cost about $7,500, about $7,000 in order to get that. And what that would mean is that you can take that adjustment to the rate and then pay it in points, or you can take a higher rate. So let's go look at this scenario over here with UWM. Par rate today, 6.625. That's the rate that's the lowest rate with no cost. In fact, that comes with a $645 credit. Now, if you need 0.875, the closest rate to that is 7.125, so 0.5% higher. It gets you more than the 0.875 that you need to pay for the buy down. So now you don't have to pay for it out of pocket. You just take the higher rate at 7.125, but your initial start rate is now going to be 6.125. So for a year, you're going to pay 6.125. And so that's the smallest one that exists, but that shows you just a way that you can, without even having to pay for it, you can get a lower rate without having to pay for it out of pocket, I should say. You can get a lower rate. Now, if you refinance at some point during that first year before this moves up to the fully indexed rate of 7.125, then any of the leftover credits from that subsidy of $6,500 or so here, anything left over from that you haven't used yet gets credited towards your loan balance. So there is no lost money. That's the thing that's cool about the 2-1 buy down. Or sorry, the temporary buy downs. Is you have the 1-0. The 1-1 is the next step up. So the 1-1, and if you want a copy of this worksheet, I'm happy to send it to anybody, whether you're a realtor, a home buyer, another lender. I'm sure there's people who are going to be seeing this for the first time. I'm happy to send it to you. No problem. Abundance mindset, not a competition here. Trying to help as many people as possible. So 1-1 buy down means your rate is down 1% for the first year and 1% for the second year. This one would cost 1.5%. So this would get you 2 years at that lower rate, but it costs 1.5%. So that's going to start to get harder to pay for through the rate because there's only so much money. So if you do that, then it's essentially a wash. You're getting a 7.625, so you can get that 1.5%, but it's just taking you back to 6.625, which you would get without it anyway. So something like that is going to be better for someone who wants to actually pay for it themselves and know that it's just a subsidy. It's a payment that they're going to make that's going to subsidize their payment down the road. And then, of course, you have the 2-1 buy down and the 3-2-1 buy down, which get very expensive. But the 1-0 buy down, I wanted to bring up today in particular because it helps lower that rate right away. And also, UWM is also doing no-cost appraisals. So if you do the 1-0 temporary rate buy down, you can get a free appraisal as well. Just a nice cherry on the top. Appraisals are $600 to $800, somewhere in that range. So you can do this temporary buy down without having to pay out of pocket. Just take the higher note rate. You can get a lower start rate on your loan. Most importantly, you can pay for your own temporary rate buy down, which is a far better investment than paying for a permanent rate buy down, which you could lose money on. If you do a traditional permanent rate buy down, you could lose money on it. If you do a temporary buy down, like we're discussing here, then you can't lose money on it. And that is a significantly better situation, in my opinion. I'm very conservative on stuff like that, so that's what I recommend. Now, this is for everyone who wants to get a lower rate, wants to have a lower payment now, but who also believes, like I do, that rates will likely go down in the future and that refinancing is a foregone conclusion. If you believe that, and that's what your forecast is, which is what mine is, then doing a temporary buy down makes all the sense in the world, and doing a permanent buy down would be foolish. So if you would like to have a scenario run for you, because the numbers for each person are going to be different, right? You want a different loan amount, you have different purchase price, you might qualify for different interest rates, doing a different loan program. I can work this up for you specifically. If you would like to see it, just let me know. I'll ask you a few questions. You can text me, put my information up on the video. You can text me. You can call me. You can email me. That's also fine. And I can run you these numbers, or I can just send you the spreadsheet with all of your data on there. And you can make an informed decision about what's the smartest way for us to keep our payments down for now so that we can get in for what I believe is going to be the craziest gold rush we've ever seen for real estate. If you thought the coronavirus, COVID land grab was crazy, we had a lot more inventory when that started than we do right now. And if I'm correct about rates dropping and the worst of rates being behind us and rates moving lower much more quickly than people are anticipating, we're going to see another craze just like that. And if I'm right about that, then this is the sweet spot, the perfect time to buy as rates are coming down, but most people don't know about it. Most home buyers don't know about it. So buyers haven't really found out yet. They haven't started, forming a line, if you will. Sellers are not aware that a line is being formed of buyers. That's the perfect time. If you've been waiting to time the market, that's the absolute perfect time to buy. So you do this 1-0 buy down very inexpensively. Get yourself a lower rate. Have no risk at all on the cost, knowing that you'll get that money that's put towards this buy down one way or the other, either in the form of a payment subsidy or a principal reduction in your balance if you refinance, and you can get a no-cost appraisal. So no cost for your appraisal in that situation. So in a time where we should all be looking to save money any way possible, especially on the biggest purchase we're going to make. By the way, this bank also has incredible interest rates. Frequently the lowest. In fact, let's go back and look for this program. We pulled up this VA program for today. You can see there are only 3 banks that have 6.625, that rate right there, in the green, meaning that it's no cost to it. And this bank is one of them. So Orion, PennyMac, and United Wholesale Mortgage all have the lowest rate for the day. So this is not one of those banks that's trying to entice people to come take their, terrible terms and, so on and so forth. And they're doing it via this. No, they are one of the best for rates, and you can get a temporary buy down, paying for it yourself, or you could still have the seller pay for it. And they're going to give you a no-cost appraisal. How cool is that? From now until March 31st, 2024. So give me a shout, call, text, email me if you want questions or more details on this, and I'm happy to provide you a copy of this calculator. No questions asked. Hey, if you're a loan officer, competitor, no worries. I'll hook you up. I'll send it to you. I got nothing to worry about. I want to hook people up. Even the people that you're working with need to get hooked up too. If you're in the real estate business and you'd like to see more of this or get a copy of this, just let me know. And if you are a home buyer who is good with numbers and would just like to have these formulas already built in, happy to send it to you as well. You don't have to answer any of my questions. I'll send it to you regardless. Okay? So guys, have a great day out there. Really excited about this. The market is turning around. The Titanic is turning. Rates dropping. Prices going up. Competition is coming. I highly recommend taking action sometime soon if I were you. Have a great day.